Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hanging On to Hope podcast.
I'm Brenda J.
And I'm Karen Wonder.
And we are HangingOnToHope.org.
This podcast is intended as educational and is not psychological or medical advice. Always consult a professional when needed, and we disclaim any liability in connection with the instruction, information, or advice given.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hanging On to Hope podcast. This is Brenda J. Today, we have Lesley Cain on the show. Lesley's a master certified health coach, a certified trauma support specialist, and a narcissist abuse survivor. I met Lesley at Celebrate Recovery, and she mentioned her podcast, The Vibrant Survivor, which she helps survivors heal after narcissistic abuse. So welcome to the show, Lesley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Hi, this is Karen. It's so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, Karen.
I love your glasses, by the way. Our listeners can't see them, but she's got some really nice glasses.
Oh, thank you so much.
Our first topic would be 3 ways to reinforce your boundaries this holiday season. So boundaries have been so difficult for me personally or for so many abuse survivors.
So number 1 is identify your non-negotiables.
You know, whether it's the holidays or any time of year, when we're dealing with narcissistic or toxic individuals, they could be complete strangers even, coworkers, friends, family members. It could be anybody. A lot of times, narcissism is rooted in control, and it's basically being able to know what you will and won't tolerate in dealing with certain individuals in different environments can help to keep you grounded and set up for success going forward. And the holidays in particular, this was around Thanksgiving. I was talking about this. There's a lot of emotions flowing already. Mm-hmm. And you may even right now, we're in the throes of the holiday season. Christmas coming up, other holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all kinds of different holidays, New Year's, and we're heading into the new year and all that it has in store. And already kind of an emotional time. And I think with heightened emotions, there's more room for bumping and crashing into others, whether we mean to or not. And, you know, having conflicts or just even the dreaded, oh boy, I've got to go to this person's house, or I've got to go to the family such and such event. And there may be some apprehension in even going because you know that a certain person's going to be there that maybe don't want to see, or that you maybe have some traumatic history with. And being able to determine what you will and won't tolerate ahead of time can help you to be able to navigate those situations without getting caught up in toxicity and having your holidays derailed or being dragged back into that space and that place of conflict or the traumatic event or whatever the case may be. And being able to say, for example, in conversation, let someone know if someone's saying things to you that are aggressive or abusive or abrasive, or they're being condescending or belittling or devaluing you, being able to recognize that and being able to say, look, this conversation, I'm ending the conversation here. Or, you know what? We can talk about this, that, and the other. I really don't want to talk about this. Or if you're going to talk about this, then I'm going to have to end the conversation. And also, there may be some timetables that you need to set on certain events. If you have to go to a family gathering, for example, and you know that your family tends to be a certain way, or you're going to a work function and you know that your coworkers tend to be gossipy or catty or whatever the case is, you've got somebody on the job or a narcissistic boss, you may have to set some timetables on it, like, okay, I'm going to put a timestamp on this. I'm going to go, I'm going to show my face. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to be cordial, but I am going to leave at this time. Or I'm going to, if this comes up or if this happens, then I'm going to bow out gracefully and go elsewhere, go on with my evening so that I'm not stuck in the muck, and mire of the toxic workplace or the toxic family dynamics. And I know it can be really tricky with family, but it's not about being punitive. It's about protecting your property, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're responsible for your property, your person, and your immediate environment. But it's also helpful to the other person, because if they're not aware or they don't care or whatever the case is, it will give them pause and kind of snap them out of whatever they're doing or the way that they're behaving or speaking to you or conducting themselves, to where it can help to create a shift in their behavior, which can kind of help them to straighten up, fly right.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get somebody else to help you even with that. Have somebody who you know and trust, who can back you up, and maybe let them play the bad guy, so to speak, like it's a family dynamic. And like, hey, you know what, if anybody asks, I had to go and be here, or I had to go take this call, or I had to go, do this, blah, blah, blah. And then that way they can convey the message so that maybe you can avoid a potential conflict or challenging situation that you don't have the strength or the bandwidth to deal with in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of our listeners, this might not apply to everybody, but a lot of our listeners have definitely run into this problem where they've been so traumatized by their families, they can't really handle being around them. They have to get away. So this number 2 was practice saying no.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add anything about that?
There are so many ways to say no. Let me count the ways. Kidding. But really, a lot of times, a lot of people talk about the fact that narcissists hate the word no. What's one word that the narcissist hates the most? No. And there are ways to say no without saying no. And you can be poised, you can present yourself in a more polished way, and you can let folks down easy without just flat out saying no. And I know that can feel uncomfortable. And a lot of times part of the traumatic experience is just the discomfort of interacting with people who maybe you need to create some space and you're just not quite there. You don't really know how to do it. And there are ways to say no where perhaps you can say something like, that's not going to work for me, or I'm not available, or I have another commitment. I have to do X, Y, and Z. And you don't even have to tell all your business or get into all the details, but just in other words, like, or hey, I have to take this phone call, or I've got an appointment that I have to get to. But anyway, but just it can be hard dealing with family members, but I think just being able to reframe things in a positive light so that people don't get triggered and like double down with you, especially with family, because I think if they know in the past that they've maybe pushed you around, or they know your hot buttons and they know how to get under your skin, I think it's important to be able to frame it in a way to where it doesn't feel punitive, but it allows you or gives you that space to be able to pivot and redirect your focus, redirect your attention, or even your energy, and not engage and not get all messy.
Yeah.
And have things potentially escalate.
Mm. Yeah. And the number 3 was create exit strategies.
Mm-hmm. So it's holiday party season. There are a lot of family gatherings happening right now. And those can be really tough situations where it's not as easy to get away, or it's not as easy to turn down an invitation. So you may have to go. You may need to go, but you can put a timestamp on your visit or your attendance, right? You can decide ahead of time, okay, I'm going to the whatever it is, office party, the family gathering, the neighbors get together. I'm going to go for X amount of time, or at X o'clock, I'm going to leave. And you can, again, this is where having someone that you know, trust, who's got your back, who's proven themselves to you, who can help you to make a smooth exit where you're not sneaking off, you're not coming across awkwardly. Again, where they can say something, you can say something like, look, hey, I've got to go, whatever, let the dog out. I've got to go to another event or another gathering, whatever the case is. And maybe have that person advocate for you if anyone inquires. And so then you're not the target of an ongoing discussion about, well, where are you going? Well, what are you doing? Well, why are you're not going to stay? And there's not all of that. Also, being able to maybe offer something up, especially with family where it's harder to get away from those relationships. Like, you know what? I'm going to have to go and take this or go and do this. And I'll talk to you whenever, fill in the blank. I'll talk to you tomorrow, or
Yeah.
I'll see you at whatever the thing is. And being able to just create that space to where you can safely and calmly kind of remove yourself for a time so that you can regroup. Because sometimes for a lot of these events, for a lot of you, you may be just up to here with anxiety about just something as simple as a family dinner you might be hosting.
I know some families that they can't even weld up the courage to even get to the event. So yeah, it's a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah. And
trauma in their families.
Right. And that's real though. That's the thing. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
And if for some people, you may be feeling sick to your stomach at the thought of sitting at the table or being at the gathering with, relative X or whoever the person is. And you may need to call in sick. And that's okay.
Yeah, I know a person that they end up calling in sick for probably almost 100% of their family gatherings. I'll hear that I don't talk to them all the time, but I'll hear that they were sick again and didn't show up. So
I don't think people realize how much trauma impacts your body. And you have to listen to your body. And that's part of healing, is learning how to be in your body and notice what's going on. How do you feel?
Your body's always sending you cues.
Yeah. And if you haven't gone to therapy or anything or dealt with any of it, it may take a long, long time. You might need that separation from the family, unfortunately.
And not only that, but you may need something healing that you can actively do in its place, where you're creating space from the difficult situation or people, but you're also actively engaging in something that's going to move you forward on your healing journey. That's the thing, like not allowing those situations to keep you stuck, or it's an opportunity to not allow those kinds of situations or those kinds of individuals to keep you stuck, but you can still actively work on your healing while creating that space from toxicity.
Right. That's good. So we just want to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Where can our listeners find your materials and podcast? And I think you also offer coaching as well.
I do. And you can find me at lesleycain.com. That's LESLEYCAIN.com. And on social media, I'm at I am Lesley Cain. And you can book a coaching session at closurecoachingsession.com. So that's where you can find me. And I really want to thank you, ladies, for having me on, and thank you for sharing your lives and allowing me to share mine. And I also want to wish you a very happy holiday season and a very, very happy and healthy new year.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the podcast and helping us navigate our plans for 2025.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good year.
It is.
It's going to be a good year.
It is, definitely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Hanging On to Hope. Check out our website, hangingontohope.org. There are resources on there, and if you would like to donate or volunteer, you can do that through our website. We are a brand new nonprofit, so we appreciate any and all support. And we thank you for listening, and until next time, keep hanging on to hope. We are evidence that there is hope and healing for you, and our passion is to help you find it too. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.